This function will let you update image fields at the end of make scenarios. But let me start with the end in mind, why we built it in the first place, just to maybe inspire some ideas as well at your end. So this is a production page for the Digitizing Events blog site, but we've done similar ones for clients, and ours looks like a bit like a dog's dinner because we're constantly innovating on it. But you've got three images. So you've got a cover image, you've got a featured image, you've got an open graph image. And each of those images, if you think about it, have to perform different functions. The cover image should look nice on the main page. The featured image should be designed to work with lists, but its job is to improve click-through rate. The open graph image is the one that gets picked up when you share, and its job is very different as well, again, linked to click-through rates. So what we wanted was a way to generate those images, at least the first drafts, reasonably quickly. So you click Gen Images, and then you wait. And while you're waiting, there are a number of things that are happening in the background. There is a trained assistant which has been tuned to write the correct prompts for each one of these. Those prompts then go into a image generation AI. I won't say which one just yet because we'll release that later. And that produces the images. And then there is another assistant that does a mini review and either accepts or rejects. So all of that is happening in the background. And then when the images are finished, they get loaded into a publicly accessible place. So that can be Google Drive, or we use a cloud storage bucket. So it doesn't really matter, but it's just publicly accessible. And then at the end of all of that, what we want to do is we want to take the image and we want to push it into each one of these fields. Now that becomes problematic, as you guys know, because Wix update, again, if you just push one thing, it'll overwrite everything else. So you need to merge it with everything that's already in the item, which again ends up with a lot of engineering in your make scenarios. So I'm just going to show you how ours works in this use case. So ours just gets triggered by when an image is added to the right cloud storage. And then I'm not going to go through each one of these because it's irrelevant for what I'm about to show you. And then the image itself, we just push to the upload image to item function. And all we need to put in is the item ID, the image field, and the actual public URL of the image itself. And that basically does the job. And then when all the background processes have done their job, if you hit refresh, you should, if everything's worked, see three nice images. And you can see that the prompt that we're working on is all tuned to have brand consistency. So the orange and the purple are the sort of brand colors. And what is really cool with this is that the open graph image burns in text, because you imagine if that's going to get shared on socials, it's useful to have it burnt into the images. So now I'm going to show you how to set this up on your Wix websites. So if you're doing any of this innovation around augmenting images and automating the image generation process, it'll be really useful to have a function where you can just really simply push the image into the relevant image field, and you don't have to worry about getting all the other fields in order to do the update on your Wix website. And you don't have to upload any of this, also a bonus. So now you've seen the use case, I'm going to show you how to set it up. So very similar to a previous video we did where we have a similar function for data fields, so like date, time, and so on. It's exactly the same. So you go into your HTTP functions JS folder and you paste in this front-end function, which you then call with the endpoint upload image to item. And I'll show you that in a second as to how you call it. This first bit just authenticates you. So again, in the previous video where we set this up for the data items, it'll use a shared function, which I'll put into the code. So if you just want to use the image version of this and not the data version, you can just use it. And if it's permitted, it'll go through and it will write your image, the field that you've set, and you need to prefix the field with image underscore, and that then picks up this routine. There is one more thing that needs to be done. So if you think about it, at the minute, all that's happening is you are getting an image from a public URL, but that image needs to be uploaded to Wix, as in the media manager, and then put into the field in that collection item. Because what we don't want to just put in the URL to the public available item, because you don't really want to be serving images from, I don't know, Google Drive or wherever you're storing it. And you want to be using Wix's built-in image automation so that you can put in JPEGs and PNGs and they will be served as WebPs and optimized images on the front end. So we want it native. To do that, you need to paste into the events.js this function here. And I'm just going to explain it. So when you get a file and push it into Wix, it is not immediately available. So you don't immediately know the Wix reference. And if any of you have pasted Wix image references, you know what I'm talking about. It's the Wix : etc., etc. So it knows exactly where it is. So what this function does is says, a file has been uploaded. This is its information. It needs to go into that field, this particular field in this collection item. So when the upload is done, it will put the right reference into that image item. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So it'll come into your image field like this as a site file and not an absolute URL. So the way you push an image is by using the HTTP request function. You call the upload image to item, and this end bit here, upload image to item, is whatever you end up putting after this post underscore. And then in here, you put in the authentication value for the key. Ours is being pulled from a data store, which I suggest you do, because if you use this in lots of different scenarios, I think it's wise to put the authorization key into a data store and get the key from the data store when you're running the scenarios. That way you can change the key intermittently, which is what we do, just for security. Then in here, Your update request is really simple. So you put in the name of the collection, the item in that collection you want to update, and the field that you want to update, but prefixed by image underscore, which is then what makes the function do its job. And the final bit is the image field and the absolute URL value that you want to push into that image field. And you can have as many image fields in one request, and that's pretty much it. So it's super simple. We use it all the time as an endpoint here, and in more complex scenarios where we're needing to generate lots of images in the flow and push those images back as native image fields into a Wix collection. So it's as simple as that. I've been very quick here because we're going to put a lot of documentation in the code, so you can read all of that. It should be as simple as a copy and paste exercise. And then, yeah, you have an endpoint to update image fields, and it won't overwrite any of the data fields in that item or any other field for that matter. Hope it has been useful. Thank you again for watching.